I can't run down the resume. It's too long. All I know is one of the great people I've ever met in this business and Hall of Famer, Dr. J. Julius Erving, on the program. Doc, how are you this morning?
Hey, Dan, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Last time you dunked.
Last time, I was 63 years old, 71 now. I've never been incentivized since I was 63. So, what the hell?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, at what point do you go, I don't need to, want to, or it hurts too much to try to dunk?
It hurts too much to land after the dunk.
How old were you when
plus, I have sons who play a little basketball, and one is 6'6", and the other one's about 6'3". So I enjoy watching them do it as opposed to me getting out there messing around.
How old were you the first time you dunked?
Oh man, I cheated. I was in elementary school and I was on an 8-foot basket, and I had a small basketball. So I was doing all kinds of tricky stuff. I think a lot of stuff that people saw me do on a 10-foot basket started on that 8-foot basket and then progressed to a 9-footer, and then eventually got to be a 10-footer. So my 10-foot dunk shot, my dunk on a 10-foot basket was probably at 15, 14, 15, somewhere in there.
But who did you look up to when it came to dunking? Because I was trying to think prior to you, unless it was guys playing in the Rucker League or Connie Hawkins or some of those guys, who was the guy you looked at?
Well, in my neighborhood, Roosevelt, Long Island, small community, 15,000 people. When I walked to school every morning, I had to go past the house of Jumpin' Johnny Green, and he played for the Knicks. And Johnny wasn't a high scorer, but he would get a lot of tip-ins and tip dunks. So when I was blessed to go with my Salvation Army basketball team to a Knicks game and sit in the obstructed view seats in the old Madison Square Garden, so you had to look around a pole to see what was going on down on the court, I would see Jumpin' Johnny Green, and he was very inspirational to me, as was Wilt Chamberlain and the great Elgin Baylor.
Well, I remember Jumpin' Johnny Green with the Royals, and I think Johnny played at Michigan State, but he wasn't a tall guy, but. When your name is Jumpin' Johnny, you better be able to jump really high.
He was like 6'5".
Yeah.
He was 6'5". They probably listed him at 6'6", as they did back in the day. They always gave you an extra inch, just for the cushioning in your shoe and the socks. And but he was the nicest guy, and he became a franchise owner, McDonald's franchise owner, I believe. After post-career, hired some guys from the neighborhood. And I used to always visit his place and see him. He always greeted you graciously and with a smile. He was just a super guy, man. He was a super role model to have.
I guess I've taken this for granted, but I don't remember how you officially got your nickname Dr. J. I thought it was from a high school friend, but Can you tell me that story? After all these years, I don't think I've ever asked you how you got your nickname.
No. There's two parts to it. One, initially it was just the doctor. And I had a buddy, and I called him the professor, and he called me the doctor. And we had professional sounding nicknames. His real name is Leon Saunders, Kwaku Leon Saunders now. And we finished at Roosevelt High. We go to UMass together. So the nickname spread a little bit while I was in college, although it was never totally publicized. And then after college, when I signed with the Virginia Squires, I started playing in the Rucker League. Name got more popular then because I had an immediate impact on pro basketball in the summer. And then when I went to camp with the Virginia Squires, they had about 2 or 3 guys in the organization who they just called Doc. And so if you yell Doc in a certain room and three docs were in there, everybody turned around. Are you talking to me? So my trainer said, you're going to be Dr. J, because we got Charlie Scott here, and we're going to promote you guys as Charlie the Great Scott and Julius Dr. J. Erving. and it has stuck since that time. That was 1971.
What were you called in the Rucker League? What was your nickname there?
They tried to lay a couple of nicknames on me. You might have heard they wanted to call me the Claw, and they wanted to call me Black Moses, and the guy who was announcing the game. The games went on in perpetuity because they always held the clock back. That's why the scores were so high in the 150s, 160s, and he would just amuse himself and pluck a name out of the sky and say, "Oh man, the Claw has hit the baseline again and dunked another one," or whatever. So I had to go over and say, "If you're gonna call me anything, just call me the Doctor," because I didn't really like the other nicknames.
Yeah, Black Moses is like, you can't go home, and say, to your family, it's, I don't want you to call me Julius. It's Black Moses now.
No, and I didn't want the whole Harlem community calling me Black Moses either, thinking I was a messiah that was going to save them.
Did you ever, I don't know if you ever fought this. I was fortunate to see you play against the Kentucky Colonels, I think was the.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
wow.
I always wondered, because we viewed you as a dunker, but I don't know if you fought that label of being just a dunker, even though you were far more than that. But that's how we came to really realize who you were. But when you went to the NBA, were you fighting that, hey, I'm more than just a dunker?
Well, it's a good conversation to have, because I always prided myself in having an all-around game. When I retired from basketball, I played professionally for 16 years. And as it turned out, I was third leading scorer, only behind Kareem and Will Chamberlain. They weren't all dunk shots in terms of steals, blocks, scoring, rebounding. I was maybe in the top 20 in rebounding, but top 10 in all three of the other statistical categories. So I don't think you get those type of stats from just being one-dimensional. And I've seen some guys, who were just dunkers, and if they got a breakaway dunk, I mean, they were satisfied that they had done their job. and that's all they just brought me in the game to get a dunk shot and then, sit back down. My job was to lead, to be inspirational to not only my teammates, but to the fans, be a coach on the floor, and do a lot more. And then after that's done, do some more. So I approached it as a job, and tried to have a really good work ethic that would inspire others. And even, when I was hurt, many times I played hurt. I think after the first year or second year, nobody doesn't have some sort of pain or some sort of agony associated with an injury that's just not going to heal. So, so I'm not a big load management promoter with load management these days, because so many guys did play hurt and felt as though, hey, if I sat down, somebody was going to come and take my job.
Did you ever feel bad for Michael Cooper with that dunk in the NBA?
Michael and I were, I was on his podcast last week, and we yucked it up a little bit about it. Since we both coach in the Big Three, Ice Cube League, we've been able to make amends. He's been really cool about it, because he said it keeps him relevant to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation, because he was posterized on that particular day, and I kind of agree with him.
Well, did you think that was more impressive, or the one where you went baseline and came up underneath in the NBA Finals?
I think definitely the baseline move. That was truly floating on the air and creating, using some body control, using the big hand to hold the ball out of bounds, and then force of nature. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was standing under the basket, and it froze him for a second, because I mean it's something he probably could have easily have blocked, but he didn't know what was going on.
He didn't think you were going to get to the other side.
He was a little dazed and confused at that time.
What's it like to fly?
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. Dan, actually, it started on the playgrounds of Long Island, just getting in the swings and going back and forth and hitting a pinnacle and then jumping out, going forward and soaring in the air and learning how to land, jumping off of a seesaw, playing on the park benches, stepping up on the bench and just jumping and feeling free. There's a freedom of expression associated with soaring. And then there's an extra benefit if you soar and you score.
Is there a better dunker than you in the history of the game?
I think there's some guys who have been more impactful. I'm probably on the Mount Rushmore, just as an innovator and opening the door for a lot of people. And that's the way it should be. I think, the first guys in, Connie Hawkins and Elgin Baylor, and, so many guys who used to throw down, Johnny Green, aforementioned. They opened the door for the next generation. So I would expect that, there's been 3 generations since, if we count generations as 10 years, since I played. This is the 4th. And if you don't see improvement, you don't see better dunkers, then what's going on with these guys? Once they see it, they see it's possible, and then they can tinker with it to make it better. So that's just a natural progression of things, I think.
Did you think you were better than Jordan at any point?
In the beginning, it was interesting because when he came out of college, and we actually, he and Dominique Wilkins went to an event in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was a golf event. And we ended up getting in the gym and playing some basketball. So I saw what he had, but I also knew what I had and whatever. So, he was like he was a junior version. But as time will tell, and the story will be told. As a 6-time champion, 6-time MVP, or whatever, he certainly surpassed my accomplishments. Almost doubled, in championships, because I had 3 runner-ups. And I'm like the Gary player who says, I won the Masters 5 times and I was runner-up 5 times. He had to include that. Like, that's pretty important when you come in second. But most important, if you validate, your presence in your career by getting over the hump. And that's why it was such a challenge for me, from 1971 to 1981, with all the accolades in the ABA. It was important to be MVP in the NBA in 81, and then champion in the NBA in 83, because, there are some people on the other side of the tracks who only look at that side of it.
We're talking to Dr. J, the Hall of Famer. Coolest thing in your office is what?
Coolest thing in my office, I got some stuff in here. I got an Emmy for The Doctor, our documentary. I got a nice Lalique statue of a golfer, which is, one of my passions and my favorite pastime these days. And once I get my shoulder healed, I can't wait to get back out on the course. I have a trophy in my office that looks like a Heisman trophy, and it was given to me by the Dallas Mavericks the last time I played in Dallas, because I was in the game that welcomed them to the NBA. And upon my retirement, they created this trophy, and it's really cool.
Well, you certainly got enough awards there. Did you keep everything? Like, do you have all your honors?
No. I didn't keep everything. I think Bill Russell's the only guy I know who has kept everything, because I've been to his house a number of times, and He's got all 11 championship rings in the 13 years.
Does he show those off, though, Doc? Does he?
It's in a trophy case. You got to walk by it if you walk into the house. So that's probably the best collection that I've seen of a former player. For me, I actually had an auction maybe about 5 years ago. So I think the wonderful home that I'm living in right now is a testimony to parting company with the stuff.
It's great to talk to you, and hope you're doing well. You look good. I don't know how the golf game is going to be when you come back.
Yeah. How's yours?
I took a 7-year hiatus from the game.
What?
Yeah, my
So
body.
that-
I had some problems health wise, and I love it, but I had to step away for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was prior to 7 years we were on the golf course together.
Well,
But,
that was.
I wish to see you back out there.
That was like 1995, 90,
The 90s.
97. No, that was in Utah, 97, maybe.
I don't know the exact year. You have a lot of people around you who can keep holy timeline.
They don't know anything, Doc.
People only worried about today.
Yeah. All I know is I dunked on you. I mean, that's right. That's all I know is I dunked on you.
It came up. It came up.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the legend in your own mind comment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not lying when I say I dunked on Dr. J, am I?
Yeah, I'm not the only Dr. J out there.
You were the only Dr. J on that slab of concrete that day. We lowered the basket to 8 feet, and I just said to Doc, "Would you stand underneath the basket?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I took off to dunk on him, and I said, I'm good. I just dunked on Doc. Doc didn't even know what I was doing at the time, so I apologize.
I tried not to go like this.
It's great to talk to you as always, Doc, and thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Hey, you got a great show. Keep it going.
Thank you, buddy. That's Dr. J.